Okay, we're back for the third and hopefully final installment of Land and Water Use 4. So we're going to talk about genetic control. Genetic control is where you genetically engineer a plant or a bacterium or an animal to alter the life cycle of the pest so that it does not harm the crop or the person or whatever it is, cattle even in this case. So we're going to talk about some examples. Okay, the first example is the Haitian fly. The Haitian flies were brought over in the Revolutionary War by Haitian soldiers in their straw beds. And so what the Haitian fly larvae do is they eat the wheat near the stem, and the stem gets weakened after they hatch, and the wheat is unable to grow because the stem causes the wheat to fall off further up. So what they did with this is they genetically engineered the wheat to produce a chemical that it is toxic to the fly larvae. So right after they hatch, this chemical kills the fly larvae, and so they don't eat the wheat and don't damage the stems. Another one was alfalfa glandular hairs. So these alfalfa plants were genetically engineered to grow these what are called glandular hairs, and they're sticky. So you can see that the potato leaf hopper here is trapped on these sticky glandular hairs of this alfalfa plant and is unable to escape, and so it dies. Another example, let me go back to this slide, is sterile males that are released into the population. Your book talks about the infestation of the screwworm fly, not the botfly larva, but the screwworm fly. So what happened is the screwworm fly ate and laid its eggs on open sores in cattle, and so they just kept on feeding on these cattle, making them sick, making them anemic. And so in 1940, the entomologist Edward Knipling hypothesized that if you had sterile males of a similar fly species, because these look like just the common housefly, and so you can sterilize the common housefly, flood the environment with these sterile males. Now the sterile males mate with the females, but the eggs are not fertilized after mating. And so the females lay eggs that are unfertilized, and you don't get an infestation. This technique lowered the screwworm fly population drastically, and so this technique has been shipped to Mexico, your book says, and Central America, and it's mostly, for the most part, it's eradicated this fly that is a pest. Okay, another one that's really important to know is BT. Comes from a bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis. I can't say that. Thuringiensis. There we go. Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, now what this does, this bacteria naturally produces a protein that kills the larvae of many insects. So what genetic engineers did is they took the gene for that and they engineered it into plants. So here we have bioengineered potatoes that they produce the same protein that BT produces, and it kills insects. So BT is used on a variety of crops, cotton, Monsanto cotton, and other things. Okay, there are natural chemical control ways. This talks about volatile chemicals. Volatile chemicals are the chemicals that have the ability to get in the air and spread over long distances. You guys know volatile chemicals produced by the opposite sex of a species as a hormone. So if they use one which alters the reproductive behavior of the opposite sex, then they can do things like trap them. So let's take a look at some things. These are kind of funny examples out of your book. First of all, we have perfumes. Adult insects secrete pheromones to attract mates. Once identified and synthesized, these pheromones may be used in either trapping technique or in the confusion technique. So in the trapping technique, that perfume would be put in a trap that the insect flies into and then can't escape. In the confusion technique, it would cause the insect to fly somewhere where there is not a chance for it to mate, and that's called the confusion technique. Let's see. Alright, so I got a little bit ahead of myself. Let's talk about herbicide resistance for a little bit. So some insects, just by chance, have genes that make them more resistant to herbicides. Not insects, but plants rather, that make them more resistant to herbicides than other plants. It's just part of genetic variation and part of natural selection that's kind of not so natural selection here. So there are plants that have developed resistance to herbicides like Roundup, and we call those things superweeds. And these superweeds resist any herbicides that are sprayed on them, and so the only way to get rid of them is to pull them up, and they can become particularly nasty. This also would occur in insects, as insects develop resistance to some of these controls that are put on them. Your book talks about how insects are likely to develop resistance to Bt plants much more readily than they would to occasional spraying of the Bt insecticide directly. Okay, that means if the Bt is out there all the time, then there's a greater chance of developing strains of insects just by natural selection that are resistant to that Bt. But if you only spray the Bt once in a while and it kills off all the insects, there's a less likelihood that you would have a resistant strain developing from that. Okay, let's see. Scientists then have also had to develop, if we go back to the Haitian fly example, the Haitian fly has actually developed a resistance to the chemical that was being produced by this wheat. So what scientists had to do is they had to go back to the drawing board and develop new varieties that were more resistant to the Haitian flies. So in evolution, we call that the evolutionary arms race. There will always be some individuals that are slightly more resistant, and then the Haitian fly, for example, and then there will be some individuals of wheat that are slightly more resistant to the Haitian flies. And so this resistant escalates back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's called an evolutionary arms race. All right, so I think we have talked enough about today's material. And I hope I didn't put you to sleep. I almost put myself to sleep. As I get better at these, if I leave, I will try to make these more direct and more to the point. Today you're going to do an activity, a POGIL activity on genetically modified organisms. So follow the substitutes instructions on that. If you don't get done with that today, then we can pick up and continue that next time. I won't be back in school until Friday. So if you have any questions for me about homework, please, or about quizzes, please email me. I will have access to my email. I will be checking that frequently, and I will get back to you as soon as I can to help with your questions. So I will see you guys on Monday of next week, and I'll see you back. You guys will see me back here again on the video on Friday. Not Friday, but Thursday. So see you then.